Have you ever heard of Gracious David West?
The man that terrorized Africa's most populated country in 2019.
Whose crimes sent shockwaves through Nigeria? And who will go down in history as Nigeria's most prolific serial killer? You haven't? Then it's about time Worldwide Crimes teaches you a lesson in serial killers around the world. Let's find out about this despicable human being and why he became so notorious. Gracious David West was a serial killer in Raw Street who operated in the Nigerian city of Port Harcourt. He was born in Baguma, a small town in Rivers State, and grew up in poverty. David West had a troubled childhood, and his mother abandoned him when he was young. He later moved to Port Harcourt, where he worked as a driver and hotel cleaner. David West's first known murder was in 2019. He targeted women who worked as commercial S*X workers or in bars and hotels. He would lure them to his hotel room, strangle them, and then leave with their valuables. David West's victims were found with their hands and legs tied and their throats slit. He also mutilated some of his victims' bodies. David West's crimes did not go unnoticed. As news of the murders spread throughout Port Harcourt, panic and fear gripped the city. Women were afraid to go out at night, and the police faced mounting pressure to solve the case. The police in Port Harcourt launched a massive investigation into the murders. They formed a special task force to investigate the case and worked tirelessly to gather evidence. They started by gathering CCTV footage from the hotels and bars where the victims were last seen. The footage showed David West leaving the hotels with the victims' valuables. The police also found fingerprints and DNA evidence at the crime scenes, which matched David West's. The evidence was overwhelming, and the police were able to identify him as the prime suspect. On September 19, 2019, the police arrested David West at a hotel in Port Harcourt. He was found with one of his victims' phones and confessed to the crimes. He claimed that he was under the influence of evil spirits when he committed the murders. David West's trial began in October 2019, and he was charged with 10 counts of murder and attempted murder. Even though he was charged with 10 murders, David West would later confess to 15. The trial was held at the Rivers State High Court in Port Harcourt. During the trial, David West made several bizarre claims, including that he was being framed and that he had killed only 3 women. The prosecution presented a strong case against David West, and the evidence was overwhelming. The CCTV footage, fingerprints, and DNA evidence were all presented in court. The prosecution also called several witnesses, including the hotel staff and the families of the victims. Their testimony was emotional and powerful, and it left a lasting impression on the jury. The defense argued that David West was mentally unstable and should be acquitted on the grounds of insanity. However, their arguments were weak and unconvincing. In November 2020, David West was found guilty on all counts and sentenced to death by hanging. Gracious David West's crimes had a profound impact on the families of his victims and on the community as a whole. His actions sent shockwaves through Nigeria, and many were left wondering how such a heinous crime could have been committed. The murders exposed the vulnerability of women in Nigeria and highlighted the need for better protection and support for victims of violence. The case also sparked a national conversation about misogyny and the objectification of women. The trial and conviction of David West sent a strong message to other would-be offenders. It demonstrated that the Nigerian justice system could deliver justice for victims of violence, regardless of their gender or social status. The case also brought attention to the dangers faced by women in Nigeria, particularly those who work in the S*X industry. Many have called for better protection for S*X workers, who are often vulnerable to predators like David West. Now you know about Nigeria's worst serial killer. If you are interested in content like this, hit the like button and subscribe for more stories on crimes worldwide, and as always, thanks for watching.